Hello, viewers. This is Paladin of Odin, and this is some more Magic the Gathering Online. This is another episode of the Standard Commentary Series, and it looks like Izzet Machine Gun versus Golgari emerge? Second time today that I've seen an Izzet Machine Gun deck running Thunderbreak Regent. Maybe Regent is making a comeback, or maybe it's just the sheer quality of Thunderbreak Regent that's made an impact on this deck. But, typically you don't see a whole lot of creatures in Izzet Machine Gun because it doesn't fit with the combination. Creatures take up slots that could be used for burn spells or draw spells or bounce spells. But, you can't really complain when that creature is a Thunderbreak Regent because it is so value. A 4/4 flyer, and they have to take a lightning bolt to the face to kill it. And then since you're running one, you are definitely running 4 copies. So if, in the dream scenario, you get 2, they have to take 6 damage to get rid of even one of them. Now, the other side, he's running what looks like you'd expect Golgari emerge. It's cutting out a few colors that you typically see. This one has no blue. It's not actually running red. Kozilek's Return is only in here for the Eldrazi's, but he's got 2 Emeracles in his graveyard so far. He's throwing down Distended Mindbender, sacrificing Primal Druid to it. Not exactly the best creature to sacrifice to Distended Mindbender, but at the same time, Primal Druid does have an effect when it dies. It lets you get a land and put it into play tapped. So, okay, so he is actually running red. Never mind, he's running Jund. But, like I said, Primal Druid really isn't that great of a creature, especially for Emerge, but at the same time, 2 mana off, and it gets you a land. Yeah, it's alright. But, Distended Mindbender, hello, goodbye 2 cards. Oh, one of them is a Fiery Temper, so he could play it here for 3 damage to the face, and he's going to. And it untaps his Thermal Alchemist, so that can be another damage because he's going to use one of these Kozilek's Returns and kill the board. And better yet, since it doesn't target, he doesn't have to take Lightning Bolt to the face to get rid of that dragon. And he can save the other Kozilek's Return for another Eldrazi play. Well, that was quite the turnaround. He's got a 5/5 now, forced him to discard 2 cards, wiped the board. Izzet is on 4 cards in hand, nothing in play. And honestly, Emerge has the advantage right now. I mean, he's got 5 card types in his graveyard now, so he's more than got Delirium. So anything with Delirium comes into play as its better self. He's got a giant creature that he could sacrifice to another Emerge spell. Okay, Izzet's firing off Draconic Roar. 3 damage, and Fiery Impulse to finish it off. Well, at least that gets rid of the big 5/5 and an 8 mana cost reduction in any Emerge spell that comes along. But, he had to use 2 cards to do it. He's down to 3 cards. Emerge has 5. And he has 7 mana available. Ishkana Graph Widow. And I was a little bit skeptical of this card at first. When I first saw it, big deal. It makes 3 more spiders if you have Delirium, and it's a 3/5 reach for 5, And its big ability is also, because, how often are you going to be able to pay 7 mana? But, that's not the point. The 7 mana ability isn't that big a deal. The whole the great thing about Ishkana in Standard right now is if you have Delirium, you get 4 creatures for the price of 1. And they all have Reach, which is actually a very important creature ability because a lot of these decks that have creatures with flying go up against decks that don't have creatures with flying, so they're effectively unblockable, which Ishkana basically says, not anymore. And then, more importantly, you can sacrifice her to an Emerge spell for a 5 mana cost reduction, keeping your spider tokens for the blocking role, or in this case, since he's completely wide open, attacking. And, 5 mana off of, Distended Mindbender makes it 2 black mana for a 5/5 that makes him discard 2 cards. Okay, Liliana. And I have to say, honestly, at this point, I think I would just concede as Izzet because I don't really see a way that he can come back from this. Okay, he's going -2. Put the top 2 of your library into your graveyard, and then return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. He grabs Emrakul. And, 1 mana off for every card type in your graveyard. He has 5, so it costs 8, and he has 8. So he attacks all in for 6, takes him down to 8, throws Emrakul into play, and he finally concedes. But, yeah, that was just the perfect, cycle of events for this Emerge deck. And, Izzet really couldn't do anything about it. They typically don't run any counter spells, which would be pretty much the only thing he could have done to possibly slow this guy down enough to be able to build up his board again. But let's go to game 2. Hopefully Izzet will have a better run, and we'll be able to see a much closer match. Alright, turn 2 Primal Druid from Emerge. Now, it's really not at all helpful against Izzet, because Izzet typically doesn't have any creatures that attack that don't have flying in this particular deck. He's not going to attack with, Thermal Alchemist has Defender, so, the only things he's going to attack with are, his dragons. And that's if he's playing any more creatures than that. So Primal Druid is entirely for sacrificing to Emerge and getting the bonus effect of an extra land. So Draconic Roar, I have to be honest, I would not have wasted it on Primal Druid, especially... Well, let's see. Oh, he did reveal, and that glitch is still here, showing the revealed card into the opponent's side. Anyway, but, and again, you can't really play Draconic Roar unless your opponent has a creature in play. So, slight benefit, slight drawback. He's got him down to 3. He gave him an extra land. Call the Bloodline. Well, that might be helpful against Izzet, considering the lifelink, and most likely, big deal if he blocks with Thermal Alchemist, you're still gaining a life, Vessel of Nascency, grabbing a land. So, sorcery, enchantment, land, creatures. So he is at 4. He does have Delirium in his graveyard now. Attacking in with the Vampire, like I said, doesn't matter if he blocks, because he's still going to gain life. And life gain can be very detrimental to a burn deck's progress. Especially if it's a lot of life gain. A little bit of life gain can be overcome. A lot might not be able to. Okay, Fevered Visions. Well, the problem at the moment is the fact that the Emerge deck can... discards another land, gets another night token, so he's down to 3 cards. He'll draw a card on his turn, so all he'll have to do is play 2 cards, or play a card and discard a card, and he'll be under Fevered Visions, so he'll be drawing a card for free. Traverse the Ulvenwald. He has Delirium, so he can get a creature or a land, depending on what he needs at the moment. He only has 3 cards left in his hand, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. Like I said, depending on what's in his hand, he might actually need a land. But he grabs Ishkana, which is great because he had a land in hand to play, making it 5 mana, which gives him a 3/5 with reach and 3 1/2s with reach. And now he can attack in with 2 1/1 lifelinks that, are just going to gain him life. And he's below the requirement of Fever Vision, so he will get to draw a card for free. And then it will go back to Izzet. Well, Izzet will ping him at the end of turn, so. He's staying pretty much at 17. Emerge is doing a really good job of minimizing what Izzet's impact on this game is doing here. I'm trying to think of cards that Izzet could use here that could really help. And honestly, all I can think of is, just burn spells to the face. As many of them as you can manage, because you've got 2 Thermal Alchemists in play, which effectively adds 2 damage to every burn spell that you throw at his face. A 3 damage spell becomes a 5 damage spell. So, pinging for 2, so he's got something to play. Incendiary Flow. That's 3 more damage to the face, and then he untaps. If he has another spell, he'll ping again. Okay, down to 10. And another Incendiary Flow. Down to 7. And then at the end of his turn, he'll take an additional 2 from the Thermal Alchemist and be down to 5. If he doesn't get rid of enough cards, he'll be down to 3. But even at 5, all it's going to take is another 3 damage spell, and Izzet can take this game. Well, actually, the vampires can gain him 2 more. But he's at 20, so the rest of the damage doesn't really matter at the moment. It's 6 damage. He'll go down to 14. Not that big a deal at the moment. Emerge goes back up to 9. Now would be a really good time to throw out an Emerge. Whether it's the Mindbender or... Well, I was thinking the Craterhoof Eldrazi, but he would have played that before he attacked. What other Emerge cards are there that he would be playing with? Okay, he's sacrificing Ishkana, and there's the Distended Mindbender. So force him to discard 2 cards if he has something with 4 or greater and 4 or less. Most likely not a 4 or greater, so it's probably just going to be 1 card. Nope. He did have a Thunderbreak Regent, so he lost a Tormenting Voice and a Thunderbreak Regent. So he did get under the required amount of cards, so he didn't take any damage from Fevered Visions, but the Alchemist put him back down to 7, and it is theoretically possible that he could win right here. A 3 damage spell with the Thermal Alchemists is enough to kill, because he can ping, play, untap, ping again, 3 damage, total of 7, and it's done. But it would mean that he'd have to have the spell. Okay, discarding Mrs. Pilgrimage to get another Night token. And that's the thing, these little Night tokens are really coming in handy, because without them, he'd probably be dead right now. And unfortunately, it's looking a lot like Izzet isn't going to be able to finish this off. He's at 14. He's facing off against, a lot of creatures. But then again, 3, 6, 11 damage if he chooses not to block. He's going to gain 3 and go up to 10. he can block these little guys, and he's down to 5. He's up to 10. It is entirely possible that he could still burn him to death here. It's just going to take a really good top deck. So, this is pretty much his last chance. Ping with the Thermo Alchemist. Goes back to his turn. Top deck. 4 cards in hand. 5 mana. If he doesn't have it, he's dead. Okay, he's pinging with the Alchemist. That'll take him down to 6. He needs a total of 4 damage. Or 3 and then something else. Okay, Tormenting Voice will untap, let him draw 2 cards. He discarded Sin Prodder. So that'll ping for 2 more, take him down to 4, and then all he'll have to do is play some kind of burn spell. Doesn't matter what kind. There it is, Incendiary Flow to the face. That'll be 3 damage plus 2, that'll be 5. Does he have a response? No. Okay, so Izzet manages to pull that game back at the very last instant. The very last turn he had a chance to pull that back. He managed to do it. And there you go. That was actually a really good matchup. It showcased what Izzet can do, on the good side and the bad side, and how a deck like Emerge can easily take advantage of a deck like Izzet Machine Gun. I mean, he was wrecking face in this game and still lost. It just goes to show you that Izzet Machine Gun is not the kind of deck that you can take lightly just because you've seen them play games like the first one. So, I'll end the video there. That was Izzet Machine Gun versus Jund Emerge. And if you liked what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button for me, and I will see you in the next video.